presentation number 3, calculation of the effectiveness of greenhouse gas and ammonia reduction measures in farms by Yanis Zvirgidinis from Riga Technical University. Please open your microphone.
Yes, sure. So, can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see it.
And you can see me and hear me as well, right?
Yes, very good.
Okay, perfect. So, uh, thank you for having me. And today I will give you a presentation regarding the topic calculation of the effectiveness of greenhouse gas and ammonia reduction measures in farms. And yeah, my name is Yanis Zvirzdens, and I'm representing Riga Technical University. So the good practice in a nutshell and the resources needed. So good practice is the greenhouse gas and the ammonia emission reduction calculation tool, which allows the agricultural enterprises to calculate the greenhouse gas and ammonia emission reductions according to a common methodology after the implementation of the project measures. The tool was developed in 2018, and the total costs of development were 22,000 euros. It was developed by a working group which consisted of one leading researcher, 2 researchers, 3 scientific assistants, and 1 IT specialist. The tool is currently maintained on the servers of the Latvia University of Life Sciences and Technologies. Tool was developed within the framework of the project called Updating the Methodology for Calculating the Greenhouse Gas and Ammonia Emissions in the Agricultural Sector for the Quantitative Assessment of Reduction Measures. And in here, I want to add that the tool was ordered by the Ministry of Agriculture of Republic of Latvia, and it was developed, and this project was implemented by Latvia University of Life Sciences and Technologies. So this good practice, this tool consists overall of 9 steps. Well, it is its interface is in Latvian language, and within these 9 steps, the farmers and any other interested parties have to fill in their information and the parameters of their, let's say, farms or any other like measures. And after completing these 9 steps, you get the potential of reduction potential of the greenhouse gases and ammonia emissions. And within these nine steps, so the this tool consists following elements, and these elements are the ones that are tackled by using this tool. So the farmers or any interested parties have to tackle the type of the land use, used fossil fuels, used renewable energy sources, livestock breeding, duration of grazing, amount of straw used per animal unit per year, animal accommodation, use of fertilizers, crop production, and of course manure, including the manure management. And at the end of this calculation, so the step 9, it shows this tool shows the summary and gives out the 2 main parameters, so the 2 main results. And the first one is the emission reduction of greenhouse gases, which is converted into tons of carbon dioxide equivalent per year. So this is the absolute measure, and also the relative measure, so the relative reduction in percentage per year. And the second result is the reduction of ammonia emissions, also absolute and relative measures. Now a little bit about the usage and availability. So the tool is used by Latvian and European Union beneficiaries in the form of open calls for project proposals for the measure investment in tangible assets in the agricultural sector. So it's the Latvian, let's say, the national support funding and also support funding from the European Union. And this tool helps to, let's say, evaluate these projects and how it is being done. So the Rural Support Service offers the project applicants the opportunity to receive the additional points for the project evaluation if any of the greenhouse gas reduction measures are planned to be implemented and a calculation has been made in this tool. So I think this is a very good initiative as we are leaning towards the climate neutrality by 2050 and well, this shift and looking at more on the environmental dimension is becoming increasingly important. Tool is publicly available at the web page of the Latvia University of Life Sciences and Technologies, so www.allu.lv, and the farmers can calculate in their using this tool the greenhouse gas and ammonia emissions in the agricultural enterprise, and they can calculate the reduction potential of the greenhouse gas and ammonia emissions as well. Also, this tool is used for educational and scientific purposes to raise the public awareness about the greenhouse gas and ammonia emissions reduction opportunities. And tool is available for any interested party, so also for you, and it is free of charge. And yeah, as I mentioned before, so basically this tool is primarily intended for the farmers, and for them, it saves both the time and the financial resources, as the agricultural enterprises do not have to contract a consulting firm or an expert for assessing the potential greenhouse gas and ammonia reduction after the implementation of planned reduction measures. This tool offers to save the PDF printout with the calculation results at the end of the calculation. And this printout is accepted as a justification for the rural support service when the farmers, let's say, are applying for this financial support. A little bit about the added value. So this tool also contributes to ensuring the implementation of Latvian air pollution reduction action plan for 2020 to 2030. The use of the tool complements the calculation methodology used in the preparation of the annual report about the execution of the greenhouse gas emission reduction and carbon dioxide sequestration commitments. And this report is called here you can see it is about commitment fulfillment of greenhouse gas emission reduction and carbon dioxide sequester, and it is developed by the Ministry of Environmental Protection and Regional Development of Republic of Latvia. This tool also helps to tackle the goals which are determined by the Paris Agreement and the Convention on Long-Range Transboundary Air Pollution. And concerning the potential for learning and transfer to other regions. So as I mentioned before, this tool is in Latvian. So first of all, it should need it to be translated. And after this translation of its interface, the tool could be used by the neighboring countries of the temperate climate region. In countries with warmer climate, this would be necessary to change the greenhouse gas and ammonia emission coefficients used for the calculation algorithm. And in order to transfer this good practice to other European regions, a new project should be developed taking into account the particular region's greenhouse gas and ammonia emission factors and also the language of the tool. And to make, well, of course, it's dependent on the purpose, but if the purpose and the, let's say, the target auditory are the farmers, then also it should be made, let's say, easy to use for them and understandable for them as well. This tool is available in under this link. I will afterwards put it in the chat box, and also it is available in the web page of Latvia University of Life Sciences and Technologies. So thank you for the attention. I'll be pleased to answer the questions at the end of when the presentations of other participants in this panel are uh, have taken place. So thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much for your very good presentation. Now let us move forward to Dr. Una Fitzpatrick from National Biodiversity Data Center Ireland, which will present the theme Protecting Farmland Pollinators.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me to chat to you today. So I'm going to talk to you about protecting farmland pollinators, which is it's a European Innovation Partnership funded project that's been happening in Ireland. And the problem really is that low intensity agriculture was very pollinator friendly and intensive agriculture isn't. So within Ireland, we have a project called the All Ireland Pollinator Plan. I've spoken before within the project about this. And what we've tried to do within the All Ireland Pollinator Plan is explain exactly how everyone can help pollinators. So back in 2017, we published this evidence-based guideline called Protecting Actions to Help Pollinators on Farmland. So it was developed in consultation with farmers, and it identified simple evidence-based actions that will help pollinators and biodiversity on farmland without impacting on the farm productivity. So we knew we could make farms more pollinator friendly, but the challenge remained on how to actually make that happen in reality. So we wanted a mechanism that would work for all farm types, that wouldn't impact on the farm business, that would definitely benefit biodiversity, so was evidence-based, that would allow progress to be clearly tracked and monitored, that would be flexible and that would reward farmers for their efforts, and that would have a low administrative burden so that it could be rolled out on large scales. So I worked with a group of farmers in Ireland back in 2018, and we came up with a project called Protecting Farmland Pollinators, which was then fortunately awarded European Innovation Partnership funding for 2019 to 2022. So the project manager is Sarah Kavanagh, who's currently on maternity leave, and I am the project coordinator and agreed to speak to you today. I want to just try to explain why we have this problem and then what we're trying to do about it. So I didn't grow up on a farm, but both my parents did, and I spent a lot of time on farms as a child. And this is my mother's farm, and I've spoken to her about what it was like when she was growing up. So, 50, 60 years ago. And she describes this farm as, it had extensive flowering hedgerows. I always had 3 fields of cattle. There were a range of fruit trees and shrubs around the farmhouse that the family used. There was always a field of potatoes, a field of vegetables. Then there were 4 hay meadow fields, which were very rich in wildflowers. And then there were another 4 fields that had cereals. Back then it was oats. They weren't sprayed. So again, they would have been rich in annual flowers. So very little pesticide use, very flower rich and very pollinator friendly, but also hard work and difficult to support a family. So that's what it used to be like. If we look at it now, my mother's brother owns it. So today it's a beef farm, it's not flower rich and it's not pollinator friendly. So what we felt was that, there are simple habitats around farms that can allow biodiversity and pollinators to coexist. It might be flowering hedgerows, pollinator friendly trees. It might be looking at the non-farmed areas and managing those in a way that better supports biodiversity, reducing pesticides. There are other actions that can be taken depending on your farm type. So if you're a dairy farmer, perhaps you want to, have a clover pasture to fix nitrogen instead of artificial fertilizer use. If you're a arable farm, you could have pollinator-friendly catch or companion crops. And again, you could have traditional hay meadows. So what we wanted to do was to develop a whole farm score based on the presence and the quality of those habitats. We wanted the score to be flexible, easily calculated, easily understood by the farmers, and easily improved without impacting on the farm productivity. We want to carry out monitoring on the farms to show the evidence base so that those farms that do have a higher score actually do have more pollinators and more biodiversity. And then we wanted to pay farmers for their score, so it's a results-based project. So in essence, that's what this Protecting Farmland Pollinators project is trying to do. Just really quickly, I want to show you the score, and don't worry about the detail. These are the kinds of actions that we've used in Ireland and identified as ways to make the farm more pollinator friendly. The idea is that the farmer can say how much they have. Each action can then get a weighting depending on how good it is, and then you can get this whole farm pollinator score. So again, just as an example, if I show you that farm, you know, the very pollinator friendly one, the one my mother was growing up on it 50 or 60 years ago, you can see, you know, there were lots of flowering hedgerows, no pesticides, hay meadows, so it gets a really high whole farm pollinator score. If we score it now, you know, it's really low, which shows how things have changed over the last decades. But what it could be, so if, you know, the hedgerows that still exist were managed in a different way, if pesticides were reduced, maybe if there was a clover pasture, you know, the score can be significantly increased. So you're never going back to the way it was, but you are trying to create a new balance that works for farmers, that also works for biodiversity and for ecosystem services. So that's essentially what the project is trying to do. So we're testing that approach with a group of 40 farms. They're of different types: 10 are beef, 10 are dairy, 10 are mixed, and 10 are tillage or arable. There's a range of intensity levels and a range of sizes, and they're broadly based in this area of Ireland shown on the map. So what we're trying to do is the farmers have a scorecard. The idea is that they try to increase the amount of these important habitats around the farm. They choose which ones work for them. You know, one farm is not like another farm. So what we wanted to do was provide that flexibility. And also then the monetary value that they receive is in accordance with current agri-environment schemes. It's just an example from the actual project. So this is a beef farm. This is it when it was scored 2019-2020. You can see, you know, it got almost 12,000 points on the pollinator score. And then this is what it could be in 2021-2022 with simple actions that the farmer takes that, again, won't impact the farm as a business, but that will improve pollinators or biodiversity. So just a few successes of the project to date. You can read all about it. So all the detail is in this annual report, which was published at the start of the year. And I've put the link if people want to, you know, go on and have a look at that in detail. It goes through the scoring system, goes through example farms, goes through exactly what the project is trying to do. Other successes, I suppose really good news is that the farms do still have biodiversity, you know, which is positive. And actually to take part in the project, farmers have to create bare soil nesting areas for solitary bees. And almost half of all those areas that were created were occupied within a few weeks when we checked that out. Farmers are really engaged. So there's 40 farmers within this pilot project. They're really engaged and they're really enthusiastic and they're really willing to work with us, you know, to learn and to improve so that we can do that together. And again, you know, you can see there just the most common actions that they're taking. So trees and clover pastures and so on. Extensive biodiversity surveys have been completed on all 40 of those farms. So there's a really large data set which will now be analysed, you know, to create the evidence base and show that the scoring system that we're proposing actually works. All the farms have been scored, so all 40 have been scored, the whole farm pollinator score. You know, obviously the farms are so different from each other that the scores range enormously, but they all have received a pollinator score. And really importantly, they've all now been fairly paid for protecting biodiversity and delivering ecosystem services. And again, the graph just shows the pollinator points by the different types. And I just want to finish with this quote from one of the farmers, Andrew, who's pictured there, who's taken part in the project. And Andrew has said that the farm scale pollinator score looks at all the pieces that are assembled to create the habitat and highlights some strengths and weaknesses. It engages me in the process, and I can decide how far to push the environmental and the financial gains. So to say, you know, that the 40 farmers have been amazing, and it's so positive, I suppose, for us that together with them we're all learning and, you know, trying to create a system that works and that will protect pollinators and that will deliver ecosystem services on farmland. So thank you very much, and I'll be happy to answer questions at the end of the talks.
Okay, thank you for your presentation, for your very factual presentation, and congratulations on your project, which has many positive externalities. Okay, now let us come back to György Kövesdi from Hungary, and let us hear his presentation. Maybe this time it will work. Community-supported agriculture business model in Hungary.
Hello everyone again. I assume we solved the technical problem. If you can see my screen right now.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But we are optimistic.
Me too. Share screen. Let's try it again.
Yes, now we can see it.
Ah, cool. Really? Because
yes.
I did the same like last time. All right. So thank you for the invitation again for Balázs Kis. And as I heard it, we won some voting at the last time. Our project is My Farm Harta. It is a community-supported farming system. It is a new business model started in 2018, but the first season was 2019. Let me introduce my team. I will be the presenter. I am the head of operations of the project. My brother Gabor is the founder and CEO of the project. My father is the bio-horticulturist, and my mother as well. There is a link about the project. Some of you know already the project, but some of you don't, and that's why Balázs will share you the link below in the chat side. Let me talk about the project first. It was the first crowd farming business model in Hungary. We have started to work on it in 2018, and our first season was in 2019. After the second season, we realized that we are not able to grow further in case we want to keep it fully chemical-free and family-controlled garden. So we decided for the first time in Hungary in the crowd farming system to expand our goal and to involve some new farmers in a franchise way to our farming system, which is very important that the My Farm community-supported agriculture, this crowd farming system, has a farm-to-fork strategy, no intermediaries, and there is a big market demand and farmers' demand to reach the consumers, and that's why we developed it. Some other interesting, important features: the rural development, job creations, local products, and sustainable income. In 2021, so from this year, we started a franchise system with 6 new gardens, and our motto is that profit measured in charity. So of course we have profit, but we do it with that just charity. It is a foundation controlled business model which measures the profit in charity. Let's step to the next. Our farms, our gardens will become as big as many farmers want to join to this community-based farm. Now it means around one garden can do 150 families, can provide chemical-free and bio vegetables and other local products. The underlying values are very important. The transparency, environmental consciousness, and which is very unique, I think, in Hungary, is the shared risk between farmer and consumer. I put something here with the COVID-19 effect because I think it's very important to say that after COVID-19 and after the start of COVID-19, we experienced a lot of interest in healthy products and bio products. So the sales and marketing were improved automatically. And now we think that the market demand has grown to the level that we can expand our business model. At the how we started my farm Harta, because it was very unique, and in Central Europe I haven't met with any with such revolutionary business model. At the beginning, sufficient capital was needed, and we tried tendering and so on to make it happen, to make our vision happen. But tendering are not for everyone in Hungary. Our opinion, it is just for narrow elite, and that's what we experienced. So we decided on Indiegogo to start, where we got some support and we assembled enough people to start our, enough consumer to start our project. It is a subscription-based CSA, top-down approach, direct payment for each farmer. It is subscription based, so you can order for monthly vegetables, or you can order weekly as well. I talked about the growth potential and the franchise system of it. So the business model was unique in 2019, and now in 2021, the franchise, the charity, we call it charity franchise model, is also a new project and also unique in the Hungarian market. New farmers can join to the scheme, which the most important thing is the underlying values between us and the new members. There were 200 applicants for this season, and we chose 6 new farmers, new farmer families to join our My Farm brand and to join our vision. We think that's very important, the transparency, which we do 24 hours online streams of every gardens. In a Facebook group, we build a community with involvement in decision making, and also opportunity to come and visit with the family our common farm. So it has an educational feature as well for the people who are ordering from My Farm Harta. Our goal in Ars Poetica is 1 eco crowd farm for every 150 families. We think it can be done, and we work on it to expand more gardens all over Hungary. This is just approximately that 1 bio farm can provide for 150 families, in our opinion. There are some features of every garden. which is basically geological aspect, because they also, the new farmers and we as well, can sell and provide local products, not just vegetables, but for example, chemical-free honey, paprika powder, cold cuts, everything what you can imagine. I think this was 10 minutes, maybe a little bit more. So thank you for your attention. Questions are welcome in chat or at the end of the talks. And I will provide you the YouTube link if Balázs hasn't yet. And after that, I will answer to your questions via phone or via email or via chat or after at the end of the talks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your very interesting presentation. Okay, now if we have any questions for our presenters of this panel. Okay, we already have one question for Janice. What are the benefits of governmental institutions in using the tool?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. So for the regarding this calculation tool of greenhouse gases and ammonia reduction measures, the benefits for the governmental institutions and rural support service is that they can look at all of the projects and look at, let's say, which farmers are leaning towards this more towards the environmental conservation, and therefore they can, let's say, the farmers on the one hand, they have the competitiveness advantage over the others who, let's say, do not consider the environmental dimension as much, and so therefore the overall effect is that we are leaning towards this climate goals and also the climate neutrality in 2050. But in here I also want to add that this control, there are also the control mechanisms. It is not like you get the funding and then forget about the implementation of the project, because while the project is implemented, after the project implementation, this effect is being evaluated, and if let's say these measures are not being tackled, then at the end this let's say this final all of the money is divided into parts, and sometimes the farmers cannot receive this final, let's say, grant if it's only on the paper but not implemented into the real life. So thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you very much for your answers. And a question for everyone. How do you see the Protecting Farmland Pollinators projects being financed in the long term? I think this is for Yuna. How do you see the long-term perspective of your project?
Thanks for the question. It's a good one. I think two ways that we see it evolving. One is that we hope the approach will be considered for future agri-environment schemes in Ireland. So we hope that the Department of Agriculture will look at the approach and give it consideration for future schemes. And the second one is that we've been engaging with agri-businesses who are quite keen to start sourcing from biodiversity-friendly farms. And this approach gives you a way to track and measure that. So we're also trying to engage with those larger companies to see if in the future there can be something built around that where farmers would be paid more for their products if they're also delivering for biodiversity and ecosystem services. But we'll have to wait and see.
Okay, thank you. Another question for you. Do you work with larger, more monocultural farms as well?
Yeah, so there's 40 farms in the project, and we very deliberately chose them to have a range of intensity levels. So there's some really intensive arable farms, really intensive dairy farms, but there is, it's a spectrum, you know, so what we wanted to show is that all farms can become more pollinator, more biodiversity friendly. So yeah, there are definitely some big monoculture farms in the project.
Okay, thank you. A question for Mr. Kovejdi. How did you get the knowledge and practice to develop a community-supported agriculture project? Do you receive any public, technical, and business support?
Thank you for the question. I think, how did you get the knowledge of practice? We learned by our own, and we had experience in the business section of the market, because my brother, who is the dreamer and the founder of the whole project, he had more than 10 years experience in business governance and logistics, marketing, sales, and basically everything, how to run a company. So we received technical support, but just from the family. In my brother, and of course the expert horticulturist is also essential for the project. And my father is working for decades in agriculture, and he is also our goal to make it happen and to run this model forward.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Do we have any other questions? Okay, no. So then I propose that we make a short break of 10 to 15 minutes to 15 minutes. So we resume at 12:15 with the latest, with panel number 3. Is it okay for everybody? So we have 15 minutes break now. Okay, thank you.